It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay. Off your mind.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don't off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go summer us call them hate speech. But fear not, my ego don't come. Ingo torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego the politico, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. This one not the off in mind, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. Can in the touchlight every corner, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle so they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Sure. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say my ego don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego the politico, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. This one not the off in mind, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that my egun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say my egun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say my egun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. My egun don't come, oh yo yo. My people make you shout, oh yo yo. My egun don't come, oh yo yo. Man of the masses, my ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego diary politico, oh yo yo. My ego la wamo do. My ego diary. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làwọn tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Mayegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Mayegun dayari politico. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari na ibi nọ́mbà wọn. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Ribadu. Àní ẹ̀sùn lájú. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Àní ẹ̀sùn lájú. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Àní ẹ̀sùn lájú. Prẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. Àní ẹ̀sùn lájú.
Hello there. Welcome back, brethren. So good morning to you again. If this is the first time you are joining us, by the way, good afternoon to you and a good evening to you from wherever you are indeed joining us. It is Mayegun live. And welcome back to those of you who were with us earlier when justice was pretty much murdered again by the supposed defender of, justice. So what do you do when justice is murdered by those who are supposed to actually preserve it and all that? But we'll get to that part. Talking about justice and injustice, Nigerians have been subjected to this never seen before inhuman injustice meted at them by their own government. So, a few weeks back, the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, announced his intention to get involved in the ongoing killings of Christians in Nigeria. That statement or that designation, that designation of Nigeria being a country of particular concern, and this time because of religious persecution, is what the Islamists and their fellow sponsors and others are currently railing against. So Donald Trump said Nigerian government have been found to be enablers of these terrorists. And this is the time for them to put an end to these killings. The Nigeria government of Thiefnubu decided to put up a defense. Their own defense is that calling the ongoing terrorism in Nigeria as Christian genocide would kind of lead to religious war in Nigeria. That was their own defense. Meanwhile, they've been designated. So being designated as the country of a particular concern comes with so many consequences, including blockade of aid, loans, military support, and many other things that ordinarily, truly, would affect Nigeria's war against terror. But the question is Nigeria really fighting war against the terrorists? Or Nigeria is just managing the terrorism, hoping that people will probably get so used to it? Now, things have gotten out of hands. The terrorists are ransacking villages. They are kidnapping people en masse. So if in the course of these killings, as we know, that they are not just killing Christians, the responsibility of a responsible government at this time is just probably going to be, listen, thank you very much for your concern, and you shouldn't have designated us. However, we are doing our best to get rid of these guys, but yeah, give us also time, and you will show working. Abi? So they started claiming that Nigeria is a sovereign country, an independent country, but yet the Islamic terrorists who have taken over almost half of the country as we speak, they have wrecked the economic base of the country. Millions of people have been displaced. In all of this, there was never a time that the National Assembly of Nigeria, the Nigeria Apex lawmaking body, opened an investigation to these killings, or even push the executive further, the government, to do something. APC, Egbetokun, have destroyed Nigeria. They have divided Nigerians. And in that chaos, they want to remain in power while people, millions of them, continue to live in refugee camps all over the northern part of Nigeria to start with. So they have been running propagandas, they have been running these gaslighting campaigns all over the place. While on the other side, Sheikh Osama bin Gumi has been going all over the place to try to remind us that these terrorists are on revenge mission and they must be negotiated with. The same Gumi who should have been arrested a long time ago simply possibly has forgotten that one of the reasons why this terrorism spread this much was because this same APC, Egbetokun, have been rearresting. That's what they call the catch and release in America. Yeah. So they have been the soldiers who have successfully arrested some of these terrorists, handed them over to government. The moment they turn back, the same politicians who grant them amnesty. They call it Operation Safe Corridor, right? Where they are bragging about the numbers of repentant terrorists they have returned back to the society. Do you understand? So the contradiction is what America said they should put an end to. But there's no plan of putting an end to it. They believe that they could wriggle their way through it. And very soon, maybe Donald Trump will be distracted. But in America, where this whole thing is currently boiling, is that they've opened an inquiry, an open conversation around it. They brought those pro and those against lawmaker congressmen, including some other inter-religious bodies, as well as NGOs, others who are trying to be for or against this redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. But genuinely, a lot of people like myself, we are very much interested in a situation whereby the government of Nigeria genuinely will put up the political will to go after these terrorists and their sponsor, so that at least there will be peace, right? How can you be planning reform or believing in yourself that you're doing one reform when almost half of the country is controlled by these terrorists, while the rest of the remaining part of the country is enveloped by the fear of what could be, or you know what I mean? So we want something that where your government actually really not collaborating with terrorists, from your state governors to your lawmakers to your local government administrators. So how can the security forces, who are also losing their own members, soldiers are being slaughtered and the Nigerian army, which they have actually been, accused of culpability, collusion. Nigerian army, who have been losing their own members, soldiers. Do you know what it takes to train a soldier? To actually say, oh, this is a complete soldier. But to Nigeria, or under this APC, soldiers are being kidnapped, slaughtered. They even killed a brigadier general. How can you be negotiating with such people? How can you confidently tell people that you are fighting terrorists with non-kinetic, with the criminals who continue to commit the same crime? Not a single one of them has faced the judge. Not in any court in Nigeria, especially these Fulani terrorists. So, like I said, they have now opened book. Those who believes that whether it's Christian genocide, Muslim genocide, the first responsibility of any responsible government is to protect the citizens. You do not negotiate with their killers. You do not promise them land so that you can have peace. You do not put aside extra budget to build ranches for them. Terrorists who are on bikes with war weapons, not just AK-47. These guys are carrying about RPG. They've hijacked a military tank. They are driving armored tank to go and face the same military. They've ransacked military bases, military armories. They've emptied, the same weapons that Nigeria refused to use on them. The terrorists have managed to break into those places several times. So if there is any sort of possible way out of this, it is to either put pressure on the government or just bypass them So would Donald Trump bypass them because he's got the power to? Yeah, they have a law in America that gives him that. And if he's got the proper, the sizable number of supports in the Congress, then that's it. I don't know about tomorrow. But as of today, Donald Trump and his party controls both, chambers, the Senate as well as the Congress, right? So, Thiefnubu sent Ribadu, the National Security Advisor, Oluyode, the Chief of Defense Staff, Egbetokun, the police IG, and others. They sent them to America to go and meet Congressman Riley. Remember when Trump said Congressman Riley should pile up all of this evidence and everything, including legislation on it, and bring it to his table, he will sign it, and then the next line of action will happen. During that time, there was this government shutdown in America, which they just kind of like lifted, I think just about last week or so. So this Congressman Riley, an equivalent of House of Representative member in Nigeria, is, just put it this way, an House of Representative member in America, right, has been designated by Trump to put together the legislation, while Ted Cruz is also busy doing his own in the Senate, right? There are so many other organizations who are pretty much on this. The Nigeria criminal government and their agents are very much aware of. I don't know the story they are telling you in Nigeria, but this killings that is going on in Nigeria has been considered a serious issue that in the coming days, weeks, or months, it could actually cost Thiefnubu his regime. That's extreme, yeah? It can go as far as that. So they sent Ribadu, Egbetokun, Oluyode, they sent all of them to America to go and speak to this House of Representative member and tell them the same thing they've been telling all the media houses. Everywhere they've been to, the same lie. You know, the number is exaggerated. Look, how many Christians do you think have been killed? How many numbers of Muslims do you think have been killed? I don't have the number here because they don't. Because they don't care. So somebody is asking questions, something that the National Assembly of Nigeria should be doing. Lawmakers from over 6,600 miles away are concerned, and they send people to go and tell them the same story. They are killing Muslims too. They are killing Christians too. Where if they kill people in the Muslim populated area, those will be Muslim victims. If they kill people in the Christian dominated areas, those will be Christian victims. So it's not good to say it is Christian genocide. It is not even genocide. In fact, it's just that some people, who are killing them? Who are those killing them? Fulani terrorists, Boko Haram terrorists. In the middle of all of this, that live streamed video of that attack at Eruku in Kwara State is also part of the evidence they are using in America right now. The victims of Yelwata, the other victims from other parts of this middle belt of Nigeria, American Congress today connected with all of them, and they all gave their testimonies. While Nigerian Senate, National Assembly, they are singing on your mandate, on your mandate, on your mandate for Thiefnubu. So if you are watching from Nigeria, just think about that. I mean, you are still alive. It is yet to get to you. And those who told you that it will never get to you, or probably you are telling yourself that, well, it will get to everybody. It's just a matter of time. Okay? So tonight, right, after they met with Riley told them, you still need to do more than whatever you think you are doing. You actually need to stop these killings. And we need to see you begin the process of returning people back to their communities. People have been chased away from their communities. Those who survived, they were never to return again. All those communities have now been renamed, and all these terrorists have resettled in them. Nigeria government is aware. Local government administrators in this northern part of Nigeria, they are aware. Benue State Governor, who has been recruited, by the way, right now to also deny the genocide. Oh, that's where we're going to start from. from the criminal politicians who see what their people have been going through, but because of political affiliation, because of political advantage, or sorry, political profit or whatever, right? They decided to deny their people, right? Somebody like this guy is a reverend father in Benue State. Benue State used to be called the food basket of Nigeria. The Fulani terrorists turned Benue State to the burial ground center of Nigeria. In fact, they turned farms to mass graves. But their governor in 2025.
Of the cloth. So I am a reverend father. So being in governance does not take that away from me. I am still a reverend father. I came in as a governor, as a reverend father. I am working with the fear of God and the compassion of Christianity and humanity. And at the end of the day, I'm still going back to the church as a reverend father and a good Christian. So that is for the record. We need to understand this. In my state of Benue, we don't have any religious, any ethnic, any racial, any national or state genocide. We don't have that. Do we have a number of insecurities in the state? Yes, we do. But it is not a genocide. Someone would need to go through there to check the United Nations definitions for this. Have we lost a number of people? Yes. We have at different stages. If I've given you a background of the challenges we've had many years ago, we're talking about the agro-pastoralists, got them the headers. And then we're talking about the agro-farmers, typical farmers. So it began like play, like joke, and then it went over and then just continued to some huge proportions. But that does not fit into the parameters of a genocide. So for those who seek to politicize everything, there is no genocide in Benue State. But we have security challenges in Benue. On the cloth.
Nuisance lele. Nuisance lele.
So that's the hyacinth or something. You know, the antelope of a Benue, right? And this was just a few days ago. But guess what? He is lying. He is the one politicizing it, because politically, if he admits that there is genocide in 2025, now that America is involved, it would be added to the black book of Thiefnubu. This same hyacinth, this same time last year, said this.
Must up this game in our support and in fighting this insurgency. It is targeted, it is planned, and religiously it is being executed. They are terrorists, period. And we strongly believe
that's the madman. He said it is religiously being targeted, it is planned. When that was 2024. In 2025, he's now saying, we have security challenges, of course. But it all started, he started using all these their fancy words. Agro-pastoral crisis, other pastoral crisis. You've heard of that before, right? So agro-pastoral crisis is going back to farmers' others clashes. And guess what? Whenever their farmers and others clashed, according to them, now only the farmers, they buried their own loved ones. Or it's either the farmers are those buried with their loved ones, in their community raided, their entire properties burned down, razed down, and now the survivors are now living in IDP camp, where it is farmers others clash. There is no others anywhere. There is no other killed. There is no herdsman killed. There's no graveyard for herdsmen. They say they clash though. How can you clash with somebody on his farm? When a state governor says agro-pastoral clash, for goodness sake, did we lose some people? We are talking about thousands of people. Thousands. Those are people killed in Benue State between 2015 and 2023 alone. Thousands. Did we lose some people? Yes. Did we have security challenges? Yes. But there is no any Christian genocide here. A year ago, he told us that when he saw these dead bodies in Yewata, when they murdered people in Yewata, nearly 300 human beings, women, children, elderly, they were slaughtered. The terrorists who killed them, they were making videos. Thiefnubu, the president of the contraption, couldn't even go to Yewata. They had to bring these people, traumatized people. They had to bus them for hours to the state capital to go and meet Thiefnubu. When he met with them, what did he tell them? He said there is enough land for everybody. We need to learn how to live in peace together. There was no real, genuine condemnation or action against these murderers. It has gotten to a stage that to even say Fulani terrorists, these criminal politicians, they are like all these, all this, what do they call them? This antichrist. Those ones that will pretend to be religious, but they are like a devil. They will never call the name of Jesus. I don't know how many of you who actually can remember this. When we were growing up, there was this conspiracy that for you to know somebody who is a fake or somebody who is using spiritual, so who is using like voodoo as a pastor, that they will never pronounce Jesus because they were using the devil's power and all of that kind of thing. So that's exactly what this criminal hyacinth is like. To them, the devil they hold is Thiefnubu. What connects them is ABC. If I say the truth, I am part of this. So I still have to tell my people to believe me and trust me, because I'm the one who can tell them the truth. Remember, I am a reverend father. Politicians. But in the US, where this is now being debated, you know what they did? First, they brought a clergy as a witness. Yeah.
The Most Reverend Wilfred Chikwanagbe, Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi, Benue, Nigeria, before the House Committee on Foreign Affairs African Subcommittee, November 20, 2025. President Trump's redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, CPC, a serious, well-founded wake-up call. I am here this evening talking that because I have the privilege of witnessing, the privilege of experiencing. I'm not talking as a privilege of opinion. Mr. Chairman, ranking members, distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for inviting me back to testify on the escalating crisis of Christian persecution and genocide in Nigeria. 6 months ago, precisely on 13th March 2025, when I last appeared before this committee, I warned that the situation was there and demanded urgent attention. Tragically, the past half year has proven those warnings understated the continued attack on vulnerable Christian villages by the Fulani ethnic militia and their counterparts, both in the middle belt of Nigeria and elsewhere in the country. Since my testimony in March 2025, credible reports from organizations monitoring religious freedom, including Open Doors and our own Justice, Development and Peace Commission in Makurdi Diocese, have documented continuing attack on Christian villages, especially in the middle belt states of Benue and Plateau, perpetrated by Fulani militia. Thousands more have been displaced, some adopted or subjected with entire villages razed and churches destroyed. My own village of Aundana in Gwe West local government was attacked and several of my relatives killed on May 22nd, 2025. An entire convent of Reverend Sisters of the Clarisha Ministry was displaced along with the local Catholic parish. Within the days following that attack, nearby villages like Naka also witnessed attacks. In fact, on the 24th May 2025, one of my priests, Father Solomon Atongu, was shot and left to die in the pool of his blood, while those traveling with him were adopted. Though he survived the attack, he is unable to walk freely because he has a broken bone. A few weeks before, on Palm Sunday, April 13, 2025, with the attack occurring late that night into the early hours of April 14th, Fulani militants launched a coordinated assault on Christian communities in Plateau State, Nigeria, primarily targeting the village of Zike in the Basa local government area near Jos. This incident was part of a broader, the most.
So that's for those of them who are like trying to hang this redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern on the IPOB. If you have been following the news, they have been struggling to hang it on the IPOB so that they can begin the process of a possible kind of attacks on the Igbos. For those of you who are not paying attention, so those little things. Sometimes when they snowball into this big flame is when you all react and say, when, they are already cooking it. Apart from the fact that they are trying to convince America that these killings is not, religiously motivated or ethnically motivated, where people are being ethnically cleansed, genocided. As they are trying to convince Americans in Nigeria, their media, they are trying to push the narrative that this redesignation, it was IPOB people, it was the Igbos who pushed us, the blah. But you just saw the, what do you call that person now? The Archdiocese of Makurdi, from the same state capital of where that clown who said there is no religious killings in Nigeria. There are documented killings. And the terrorists, as well as the terrorist sympathizers, right, who are gaslighting you, who are running helter-skelter like headless chickens, okay, pushing different other things to see if that will sway, right? They are laying the ground for a possible chaos, which will be them and their own making. That's why I said that in the coming days, weeks, and months, will determine if Thiefnubu would even actually be or remain in Nigeria, talking about 2027. I've said that before. It is the way they handle this that will matter. And so far, so good. They've made a mess of it. Yeah. Pushing their lies. Here is a Yelwata survivor who was also a witness at the hearing today. Now, they joined via Skype or what do you call it? Sure, you get. Watch this.
It's a very short but very powerful video.
Good afternoon, good evening. It depends on where you're watching us from. I am Reverend Father Philip Apple, the coordinator of the Foundation for Justice, Development and Peace, FJDP, of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi, Benue State, here in Nigeria. I am here with one of the survivors of the Yelwata massacre of 13th of June 2025 here in Nigeria, where we lost over 200 lives in a single night. So she is here to be witness as one of the survivors of that grave attack. So we'll listen to her. That her name is Nsoshima Akwe. That when they went into sleep that fateful night, around 9 p.m., the Fulani terrorists attacked them where they were sleeping. that they were locked inside the camp at Yilwata, and they were butchering them with cutlasses and shooting guns as well. When they thought all had finished at some point in time, they poured petrol on the building, and most of them, majority of them, were set ablaze. That in the course of this action, she saw a tree up when she lifted up her eyes, and she raised her hands, head on the tree, climbed up where she was able to hit herself. That her 5 children that she left below were crying, and in her presence they were being slaughtered by the terrorists.
Okay.
That she ran out into the bush at some point, and those who came for rescue would now bring her out of that place at some point, and she was able to witness the whole drama. And when the people came, they were now relocated to a new camp. So thank you very much. This is the much we can receive from Msoshima Akpen. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
This whole thing ordinarily shouldn't be America's business. Don't forget that if you have a government. This should have been an inquiry initiated by the National Assembly of Nigeria. That's to show that they are in charge. They'll bring everybody in. They will indict people they have to indict because they have to save the country. The country should come first before your political party or your political position. Because if there is no country, there is no party, there is no politics, there's nothing. But they know. They are all singing the praises. You hear them. They will talk meaninglessly, uselessly, and at the end of the day, they will say they are giving a vote of confidence in the military. They are giving a vote of confidence in Thiefnubu, and then they will just blow their vision away straight away from all these killings. Meanwhile, in that chamber, all the areas where this terrorism was taking place, where people are being killed, they have representatives in the National Assembly, seated in the National Assembly, discussing God knows what. In Nigeria, they are afraid to even discuss the Fulani terrorism. They are afraid to call it Fulani terrorism. If you did, they are going to call you somebody who is inciting the people. You want to cause enmity. You want to cause war. Yet, more than 20 million Nigerians, you heard me right, more than 20 million Nigerians have been displaced by these terrorists in the last decade alone, in the last 10 years. People that will never go back to their communities because there's no plan to return them. People those who chased them away, killed their relatives and took over their lands and did right? They themselves know that nobody is coming to chase them away. There's no plan for them. But there is a lot of plans for these terrorists. When Bokwari was there, when he was there, he gave out over $300 million to some of these state governors to set aside lands for the Fulani terrorists so they can set up ranches or whatever for them. Hopeless for those of you who don't even have who decided to be ignorant of opening up the eastern part of Nigeria to all this insecurity, where until Hopeless Uzotingba became your governor and then orchestrated the abduction of Nnamdi Kanu. which indeed was after he collected his own nearly $10 million. This is a fact, though. It's not even a secret. It was money that was shared under a false name, false tag, and the purpose is for these state governors to go and set aside seizable land in their states so that they can set up these farms. Olu also asked the people there, those of you who said that the reason why all these killings are taking place in Olu and Osu was because of the ESN and IPOB. Ask some of them about their lands that Topless Odingba has seized from them. And how did that go? Ask those who protested against this land being taken from them in this part of Imo State. Ask them what happened to them after that protest. What did they call them when the Nigerian military opened fire on them in their homes? They called them ESN members. And these were the community that protested like a week ago to say they rejected the illegal takeover of their land and their communities by the Imo State government. But their media continue to say, oh yeah, it is because of ESN, it is because of the IPOB, this or that. Alone. Because that's what they're saying. So Bukwari shared money to some of these state governors. Some of them collected the money, swallowed it. No land, no nothing. Thiefnubu came, set aside over 200 billion naira. And he bragged that he's already given Jigawa State alone more than 30 billion naira to set up ranch for these Fulani terrorists killing Nigerians. But ask them what is the plan they have for these millions of Nigerians displaced? Nothing. So now, the National Assembly of Nigeria that is playing rubber stamp for Thiefnubu, right, are now watching. In fact, they want to be part of the procedure where the killings in Nigeria is being discussed. Now, guess what? They have to set aside money, including Esther code, to go to America so that they can go and tell the American congressmen that they were wrong. It was a mistake. You misunderstand the whole thing. That's how shameless the rogues parading themselves as your leaders. That's how shameless they are. So they also spend hundreds of millions of naira going to America to go and convince America in what should have been their own primary duty in Nigeria. National Assembly should be going up in flames every day because of these killings. If your representatives are indeed representing you, not just there to sing on your mandate, they shall die. So we're going to go back. I mean, there's so much to unpack from that hearing. So the politicians themselves, you know, American politics, the Republicans, the Democrats. So in this sense, you have more Democrats in support of the action of Trump, and they give their reasons. Then you have a number of, Republicans rather, in support of Trump. Then you have the number of Democrats who are like, no, because it's Trump. Why would you usurp the power of a sovereign nation? Why would you talk to them like that? Why would you address Nigeria like that? And on like that. So, and at the same time, the tone. Why would you call it Christian genocide when there are other people being killed? Just the similar talking points. None of them is willing to actually say this Islamic jihadist, this terrorist killing Nigerians. At this point, it doesn't matter whether they are just killing Christians or just killing the Muslims. They are killing Nigerians. Something has to be done. But because, you know, Trump is in the middle, never Trump. However, let's go hear some of what they have to say. Something that you should be watching your own lawmakers in Nigeria debate. And we'll be watching Americans debate that, because at the end of the day, a decision will be made. And when that decision is made, it could get to the point of overriding whatever Thiefnubu illegitimate government thinks they have as sovereignty. You've lost your sovereignty to terrorists. They are now controlling areas that even your government recognizes as ungoverned area. How can you have ungoverned area in your country? How can terrorists own a piece of land in your country? You still have the audacity to say you are a sovereign nation. How? So here we go. Americans are debating.
Prosecutorial discretion that is not shown in Nigeria to go after and to deploy detectives and protection capabilities from the police. It's just not there. We hear it so frequently, and if it is there, show us. They always say, well, they're bandits, they're this, they're that. But what's the motivation behind Boko Haram? And I went to my opening statement, or would remind you, I kept asking the administration then, why do you keep dismissing that this isn't a radical Islamist organization called Boko Haram? Yeah, they hate moderate Muslims too. I've heard that, like I said, from many imams myself, and they certainly hate Christians and will kill them to procure their ends. So I just, we need to have that in all human rights. I found that be the case. The author of 2 laws on religious freedom. I did the Frank Wolf bill in 2016, which put entities of particular concern, a lot of other things into the law, working with Frank, who's in retirement, Wolf, that champion for religious freedom. And I gotta tell you, every time I talk to a delegate prosecutor.
So don't forget as well, there are those who are pushing Sharia, political Sharia in Nigeria. When they started, they said the real Sharia doesn't affect anyone who is a non-Muslim. So it was easier, because if you read about the Sharia, that's actually what it says. It is just for Muslims. They want to settle marital issue, monetary issue, and some of those civil matters. And then when it comes to the criminal matter as well, if it is legislated upon that they could handle such, the Sharia will handle it when it affects Muslims. It doesn't have anything to do with any Christian or anybody who is non-Muslim. That's what Sharia is. But the political Sharia you have in Nigeria, a young woman, Deborah, was killed by her own supposed colleagues simply because she rebuffed them from sharing religious stuff through their class WhatsApp group. So the next thing, these supposed students, they put a fatwa on her. So at the end of the day, they also targeted her until they found her, beat her, mobbed her, burned her, and then they took pictures, proud of what they did. Why the outrage was all over the place, and people expected the government to act. So what happened? Well, they purportedly arrested some of them, and the first day they took them to court, over 30 Islamic lawyers from northern and southern part of Nigeria appeared pro bono for these murderers. They were there to defend them. Also in that same Nigeria, people who have been accused of blasphemy, majority of them are not Muslims. So how can you accuse me of blasphemy and then decided to actually kill me because you think your Sharia says you should kill me if I insult your prophet? So the extremists among them continue to push this to the point that it is actually better to have Islamophobia, to be Islamophobic with these extremists, these murderous seculars. Because those who are wearing suits, those who look normal, call themselves moderate, there are some of them who are actually extremists in suits. They will justify these killings. They will gaslight you and tell you to respect the religion. You too should watch what you say when people are already killed. So they have lawyers, they have doctors, they have professionals like every other person. But they are extremists. Their extreme views are part of what actually fuels these extremists, these murderers, the one that actually kills. We saw all of that happen. People standing trial, condemned to death. Sharia court will sentence me to death. That is the Nigeria they are pushing on us. I am an Ijebu man. I am not from Saudi Arabia. I don't have anything to do with Arabic or Arabs or anything at all. So if your religion, from where I come from, where all of us actually coexist, by the way, that nobody really cares. But they are now pushing the Sharia that one day somebody will accuse me of something and one lunatic will be quoting Arabic nonsense and then sentence me to. Now, this is not an imagination. This is what you have in Nigeria. People sentenced to death by Sharia court. And then you started seeing all these murderous, bloodshot criminals, these Islamists from northern Nigeria. They begin to demand blood, 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 blood in the name of their Allah. So those who are moderate, we always call on them to join us and condemn this, like condemn it genuinely. Speak up. These guys, you said, have misinterpreted this Quran, or they have misinterpreted the religion, but you cannot keeping quiet. But what we found is that even those who claim to be moderate, they are very, very afraid of this murderous terrorist. That they are willing to spend all of their time arguing with you that you don't understand Islam, than for them to actually own up and say this is wrong, because the backlash that will come from it, their own lives will be in danger too. So they would rather not just say it, but they will be interested in teaching you, educating you. So you get trying to gaslight you, talk you away from it. But condemn this, like put your face. Only few could do that. Because what we found is that they themselves are very afraid of them. Here is another. We're going to go back to that here, but here is another.
Christians living in northern Nigeria are being threatened as we speak. Muslims in northern Nigeria want to kill the Christians in northern Nigeria.
duk wani bahaushen mu da sai yana kure tattaro ya dawo gida yaki za a yi fa in qataluukum faqtuluhum kadhalika jazaa'ul kafirin. Na rantse muku da girman Allah idan ku faɗa kuke mu da ma muna sakwata kuma sakwata ne tushen farawa. Mu za mu fara sai ku karasa din. Mu za mu taso rigima insha Allah daga ƙarshe sai ku kama mana idan za ku iya kama mana. Ku bari ku ji. Za mu kashe ku. Na rantse muku da girman Allah ni a shirye nake duk wanda yake jin ya shirya ya zo mun magana mu je mu tattauna mu sami tun mu ga yaushe wata rana za mu fita operation. Tunda haka kuke so a yi sai a yi daga nan Sokoto za mu fara kona su muna fara kashe su tukunna sai Kano a dauka daga nan a wuce Jos duk inda wani kafiri yake za mu kurkulo shi mu yanka shi wallahi za mu kurkulo shi mu yanka shi yawa wannan shine gobe sallah ko bikin sallan ma ba za a yi ba
Muslims in northern Nigeria want to kill the Christians in northern Nigeria. I am saying this thing now. If you need to forward this message to security agencies, if they are pretending that they don't know what is happening on the social media, forward it to them. I have gotten death threats for simply coming out to talk about the Uromi killing. I wasn't justifying it though. I said it is wrong. And somebody said, if they blow whistle, he will kill me first. Because I am a Christian. And because people who killed their brothers in Uromi are Christians. Who told you that Uromi does not have a mixture of Christian and Muslims? These are the conversations that we need to have in northern Nigeria. I try to promote peaceful coexistence in northern Nigeria, showcase the most beautiful part of northern Nigeria in the best way I can. But in situations like this, I will lend my voice to say the Muslims in northern Nigeria are not doing justice to this. I see a lot of you come out to say this is condemnable. Oh yes, the government should take action. You are giving the government ultimatum to take action. It is good, it is fantastic. Can you also torchlight those Muslims who are inciting violence in their localities? We who live in comfortable areas, who do not live in the slums, are not going to face most of these things. But people who will face it are those ones who live in the slums. Before security agencies get to them, things beyond our control would have happened. People come out now with knives on social media to say they are going to kill Christians. And I'm not seeing anybody say anything about it. Nobody is justifying the killing in Uromi. I did not justify it, but I was said, like, people... is here on my comment section. I will post some of them so you can see. Welding knives and saying they are ready. Ready to do what? Gone are those days that in northern Nigeria you have religious crisis. Now, it can never happen again. That one-sided, people are going to be killing another person to a lie. No, it's gone. It's gone. In Plateau State, it has happened. In Kano, it has happened. The very moment you hear an event happen in one place, it picks up in northern Nigeria. Because our people are not educated. They don't even know what's happening. The very moment somebody just tells them, see, they've killed people somewhere, they are trying to attack Islam, finish. People are fighting. A lot of Christians are afraid to live within some communities in northern Nigeria. Because any small thing now, they will come and kill you. Oh, we'll come and kill you, we'll come and kill you. I've lived 6 years in Kano. I live peacefully with Muslims. These ones I'm seeing on TikTok, I don't see them because me and them do not mingle in the same circle. But I see them on TikTok here. And guess what? There are people who are within their localities who are Christians that are vulnerable. Nigerian government, this is them for you to take action. Don't sit down, fold your arms until this thing happens. These people do not understand we are taking action. These people do not understand we are taking. Go out and clear warning. Say, don't come out or do anything. That's what we want. I beg, let this message spread. The lives of Christians in northern Nigeria is in danger. And one thing I know that's going to happen is there's going to be a retaliation, because if Muslims start to attack Christians in northern Nigeria, Christians will retaliate. Please, please, let us do the needful. There are a lot of things we need to uncover about northern Nigeria. I am trying every day, one topic at a time, to educate people about northern Nigeria. But one thing I'm telling you for now, this is a whistle blowing. This is fire alarm. Do with this information what you will. I don't talk my own.
Thank you, sister. Because most people these days just probably would only see what they want to see. But somehow, on my Egun's Diary Political, I can put all of them together for you. You see them in a single place. So then what you do with the information is only yours, and yours only. We just hope that our mind would align at a point that we can see the real enemy, not just you and I, seeing ourselves as one. So yeah, Americans are looking into it, but there are those who believe that no, this is just a false alarm. People like this.
Members of the subcommittee, thank you for convening this critical hearing. The crisis in Nigeria demands our clear-eyed attention, not political exploitation. I'd like to thank our esteemed panelists that have taken the time to come before us today. Thank you for your work on Africa on the ground, and at least one of you brings that experience. However, I must express my shock and, if you will, a bit of outrage that we are not putting into these top positions people who are directly from and represent the culture and the lived experiences of the African people. Currently, we still have unfulfilled positions that are very important, which demonstrates this administration's lack of sincerity towards moving us towards more dialogue as opposed to destruction. The Assistant Secretary for African Affairs has not been appointed or even nominated. The Senior Director for Africa at the NSC has not been appointed or directed for Middle East and African Affairs. I've had the honor of traveling to Nigeria now for 4 decades and meeting with Nigerians in the diaspora for decades as well. They are unequivocally some of the most tolerant, productive, and loving people that you will ever meet. We're speaking today about a nation of extraordinary promise and complexity, a country of nearly 240 million people, home to 250 ethnic groups and 2 major religions, Christianity and Islam, that have coexisted and built a society together for generations. The idea that this nation is simply engaged in a one-sided religious war, I believe, is a dangerous fiction. The current government, led by President Thiefnubu, a Muslim married to an ordained Christian minister, reflects this complexity. Out of the 9 top security chiefs, 5 are Christians, including the Chief of Defense Staff and the head of the Air Force. Nigeria is a diverse, complex democracy, and we must treat it as such. The suffering in Nigeria is immense. The insecurity is a major issue for all Nigerians. We must stand firmly with every victim and survivor. Violence against any person of faith is unacceptable. With approximately 8,000 civilians of all faiths killed so far this year, the pain felt by Christians and Muslim communities alike deserve our compassion and, again, not our exploitation. The truth is that Nigeria's wave of violence stems from a complex mix of ethnic, economic, external, and religious tensions. Boko Haram and other extremist groups have killed both Christians and Muslims indiscriminately. Communities across Nigeria, from farmers in Plateau State to herders in the north, have suffered unspeakable, staggering losses. To simplify this tragedy by calling it solely a Christian genocide, I believe ignores the full, difficult truth and the suffering of all Nigerians. Therefore, the answer, I believe, is not and will never be American bombs or boots on the ground. We have not given diplomacy an exhaustive chance. I have previously denounced the threat to deploy U.S. troops to Nigeria, calling it a dangerous overreach that risks reigniting colonial-era patterns of intervention on the African continent. We cannot allow the sudden interest in Nigeria's internal conflict to be a pretext for military action when this same impulse was absent in the Sudan, in the DRC, or the Central African Republic. Furthermore, we must address the sheer hypocrisy of a military-first approach when non-military support has been repeatedly undermined. As the New York Times' Nicholas Kristof has rightly stated, Trump aid cuts kill more Christians than jihadists. Deep cuts to the USAID program and global food and health programs have severely limited America's ability to provide the kind of non-military support that was estimated to be saving the lives of more than 250,000 Nigerians each year. When you defund USAID and shut down peace-building initiatives, you leave communities vulnerable. You don't stabilize Africa with missiles. You stabilize it with schools, with clean water, with economic opportunity, with true partnership. The path to peace in Nigeria must come through dialogue, development, and dignity, not denomination. America should be a partner in healing, not a hammer looking for a nail. I urge this subcommittee to prioritize a diplomacy-first approach, fully fund our humanitarian aid and peace-building initiatives, and work with the Nigerian government to eliminate terrorist criminals, securing a safer and more stable future for all Nigerians. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to the testimony. I yield.
So in a nutshell, Donald Trump should give more money to Africa to build more schools, to build hospitals, and all of that. While the African leaders are buying themselves the latest yacht, the latest private jets, and they are high flyers, by the way, buying choice properties across Europe, Europe, Arabia, and America. So USAID. So indeed, he was like pretty much like he's against that. Okay, that diplomacy should be, sort of like used and to be seen to have been exhausted. Here you get now, like instead of sending missiles and all of that. Sorry about that. I should have removed that. Sorry, the sound. So what I was saying, if you didn't hear me clearly, was that all of that statement from that congressman was that Donald Trump should give more money to Africa so that they can build schools. They can build, instead of sending missiles. And canceling the USAID by Donald Trump has left some of these African countries vulnerable, because they couldn't get non-military support like the USAID and all that. But there are others. It's quite an interesting conversation though, right? Because they are arguing for and against, right? And let's go to those ones who are like in support, including the one that actually mentioned what took place today in Nigeria, the conviction of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on a dead law, a country without law, country led by so corrupt people that they would rather monetize their people's misery than find a solution. Listen to this argument.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of the Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges. For fiscal year 2025, the U.S. has requested nearly $8 billion for sub-Saharan Africa. But when Americans see political prisoners, judicial defiance, and the slaughter of Christians. They understandably ask as they meet their own struggles, why should our tax dollars support governments that refuse to protect their own people? Is our aid aiding a genocide? Nigeria is a nation of tremendous potential, but that potential is being choked out by violent persecution of its Christian population. No country can build a stable future where churches are burned, believers are killed, and communities live in fear.
It just seems to make all the sense in the world to me. It's like, here we are. I mean, I understand we're not going to get like ISIS to lay their arms down. That's probably more of a kinetic option there that's going to result in their arms no longer being brought up in anger against Christians. But in any event, this seems to be something that, obviously, I'm not saying it's easy, but it is something that they should be doing, they should be looking at. And while I got just a couple seconds left, I would urge the Nigerian government to take a look at pardoning Sunday Jackson, who is an individual who was fighting for his own life, defending his life against one of these Fulani militants. That Fulani militant lost his life in that struggle, and now that person, Sunday Jackson, is facing the death penalty. Now, where's the justice in that? Where is the justice in that? And all these Fulani militants are breaking the law. They are breaking Nigerian law. And so this Sunday Jackson disarms this person with a knife, protects his own life. He's going to prison and now faces the death penalty. And Fulani militants just roaming bands of them with AK-47s, and that's no problem. You are so right about this question of prioritization. I know I'm over time, Mr. Chairman, but I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moore, for your leadership, and do appreciate it very much. Mr. Stutzman.
When 200 people were murdered, killed in a church. Now, I want to ask this. So one question was, did things improve? I think the answer is no on that. Here's the question. Proportionally, do we see Christians killing Muslims in Christian areas of Nigeria the way that we are seeing radicalized Islamists killing Christians in Muslim areas of Nigeria?
What I can tell you, Representative Huizenga, is that Christians are disproportionately targeted based on their population.
Exactly. And by the way, for those that you can't pick up with the microphones, there's audible yeses behind you. Again, the people that are watching who are nodding their heads. Why? Because they have lived this. Their families have lived this. I went to school with kids from Nigeria. I've got neighbors who've been missionaries there, who have family there, who have friends there, who know this is going on. Yet we've got not just the mass media, we got people within Congress denying that this is happening, or certainly de-emphasizing it. It ought to be outrageous that it is Christians, moderate Muslims, anyone being terrorized by these radicalized Islamists in Nigeria, and we've got the Thiefnubu government sitting back and not doing enough. And I recently just was interviewed by Nigerian television, Arise TV, and that was really their question. Is the Thiefnubu government doing enough? And I had to answer, no, they are not. And I do not understand how a delegation can come here to the United States and downplay and come up with all of these other excuses as to why this is allowed to happen. It should be rejected and should be called out for what it is. And I've got a couple of other questions that my time has expired that I'm going to have to go and ask for them in written responses. But one of them I need to highlight is in Benue State, there's 1.4 million people who are considered internally displaced. Understanding that the administration has supported refugee assistance in dozens of other countries since taking office, what humanitarian assistance support are you providing or plan to provide to the IDPs in Benue and Taraba states, where many of those Christian communities reside? And I'll have to take the answer in writing. And Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, just to show the breadth of this, I want to submit for the record remarks from the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, French Hill from Arkansas, who also serves on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, the Intel Committee. And I serve as vice chair of the Committee of Financial Services. This is where many of those sanctions originate and the enforcement. And I will say this, sanctions are only as good as your willingness to enforce them. And as the chairman has pointed out, there are ways to get out of those sanctions. And that's through correct your behavior. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit the letter. Thank you. And with that, I yield back.
Clear and clear, right? I told you, it's quite an interesting conversation. They are passionately talking about Nigerians being killed by the Islamic extremists or the Islamic jihadists. But some people want to spend or use all their energy to de-emphasize it by telling us that there are other Muslims. You should be shouting like everyone else. Muslims, Christians, none of them as victims, I mean, those who become victims who are like non-religious, right, do not deserve the kind of death that these murderous animals are unleashing on them. No. And this should be something that is passionately being discussed inside your own National Assembly, streamed live, just like the way you are seeing it. You know? So Thiefnubu's government is not doing enough because he intentionally decided to withhold the political will of going after these terrorists. Benue State alone have over 1.5 million internally displaced persons. Think about that. One state. Internally displaced, meaning those who probably have left the entire state or those who have relocated to other parts of the state and others who have been killed. 1.5 million people. Think about that. That's possibly the population, that's more than the population of Malta. Malta population is about 510,000 or something. Now that is like creating Malta 3 times, 3 countries. You know Malta now. And Thiefnubu and this regime are spending time to de-emphasize it. They sent a lady, according to them, her name is Oge Onubogu. She represents, according to the research, she's a senior fellow and the director in the African Program Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS. So she went there to go and explain to this congressman that the killings is not just Christians. The same rhetoric, the same defense, watery. What are you doing about it? That's the question. But listen to Oge.
Chairman Smith, Ranking Member Jacobs, distinguished members of the committee, I'm honored to share my views before this committee today. Just want to state that CSIS does not take policy positions, so the views represented in this testimony are my own and not those of my employer. In this testimony, I would like to reinforce the recommendations that I made before this committee in March. In addition, I would like to reflect on how this tenuous moment in U.S.-Nigeria relations provide an opportunity for both countries to work together to address the critical threats of jihadist violence and insecurity in Nigeria, and to develop a more strategic partnership. The United States and Nigeria have a complicated bilateral relationship with shared interest in counterterrorism and economic development. But this relationship is often marked by periods of friction. Nigeria wields significant continental and regional influence, but grapples with violent extremism and internal security. Nigeria's leadership in West Africa is crucial, and its ability to address its governance and security challenges will impact not only its future, but the wider region. Nigeria's instability stems from a key shortcoming. Despite 64 years of independence, it has yet to establish a national identity grounded in basic freedoms and dignity. Currently, ethnicity, religion, and language, rather than nationality, define the identity of its diverse population. Understanding the violence in Nigeria requires looking beyond its apparent religious and ethnic motivations. For me, growing up in Jos Plateau State, I've witnessed the impacts of these ongoing conflicts on vibrant communities. In addition, coming from a family involved in Christian missionary work, I recognize the shared faith between Christian communities in Nigeria's Middle Belt and those in the US, rooted in the history of American missionary efforts. However, a narrow narrative that reduces Nigeria's security situation to a single story and frames it solely as the persecution of Christians oversimplifies the issue. Religious and ethnic violence is driven more by governance failures and is worsened by hate speech and conspiracy theories rather than being just a singular conflict. Nigeria is facing multiple security crises due to religious extremism, banditry, criminality, resource competition, communal disputes, and separatist agitation. These issues are intertwined with history, poverty, and political contestation. The interplay between
like I told you, it is just the same repetition, telling us that we have, our own peculiar differences, which stems from, language, tribal, land disputes. That is not what is happening in Nigeria. You understand? Communities still fight over land, of course, yeah. People still dispute over almost sundry things. Communities still kind of like, they still bickers among themselves. That's all right. But what you are facing in Nigeria, we are talking about an existential threat, proudly sponsored by the Islamic terrorists in Nigeria. Don't color it. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't tell us about where, we are different, this or that. We know that. What is a Fulani terrorist doing in Enugu? Enugu share border with Sokotoni. What is the Fulani terrorist doing? What do you call it? In Ogbomoso. What's he doing there? Why are the people in Ekiti living under fear because of a Fulani terrorist and his car or something? That's the issue. This is not the issue of Christians who grouped themselves, right? And now they are invading Sokoto, invading Katsina, invading Kano, and all of these places, targeting people, targeting all the rural areas, communities, and all of that, shooting and killing them, shouting blood of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. That's not what we have. We have extreme Islamic jihadists who, according to what I hear, like you have the Shias, you have the Sunnis. In northern Nigeria, they don't even see themselves as one Muslim. Can you even believe that? That's a conversation for another one. Those who are supposed to be Muslims like them. Among them, where you have seen some of these communities where Muslims have been slaughtered, you get to go and see and say, oh, they are like probably non-Sunni. It is so like that. But who are those killing everybody? Who are those killing this massively? Who are those kidnapping people in this sense? They are Islamic jihadists. Whether they are Fulani terrorists, whether they are ISWAP, they are all shouting this Allahu Akbar, and whoever is in their path is going to be killed. So the point now is that the Fulani terrorists, who happen to be the second in command to this Boko Haram and the ISWAP, targeting Nigerians and targeting, let's remove religion as some of you want to do. Who are those killing them? Who are the people killing people? Who are the terrorists that we have been seeing? Fulani terrorists. Simple. So it is not like a Dijabus. Oh, the Ijabus are now terrorizing Nigeria. Oh, the Igbos are now terrorizing Nigeria. Oh, can you imagine? We have the Igbo army. We have the Igbo this or that. Anyway, no. Everyone is pushing back, fighting back the Fulani terrorism. And Nigeria government is gaslighting our citizens from saying that rather than go after these terrorists, your government is spending money and time to placate them. Show get any. They are killing soldiers. Your government is not angry. The army is not angry. These people are killing our soldiers. But you go and touch one soldier on the street. They'll begin to tell you why you must be mad to even think the military will not respond. Papa, these guys are killing soldiers. Papa, they killed the brigadier general. Eh? There is no reaction. Nothing to even show, say, hey, you killed the brigadier general. You, these guys. Today, not today. No. So, tell me, how do you think you can convince me then that your government is not involved? Yeah?
I've been online since morning, waiting to see something that will give me hope. So tell me why till now everywhere just quiet like saying a chicken die. The younger me remember that back in those days, if a soldier, for I mean any soldier, even if not private, even if not army trainee, falls, community they close, states go close. Because 10,000 men go bury that soldier. You go escort them, go underground. Then we lose a brig gen. And the whole nation is quiet like nothing happened. Even military wives are quiet. You go keep quiet till it go concern you. Our government is quiet. As a country, how did we lose guard to this point where they go kill brig gen and nothing happen? When I saw that man sitting down there like a thief, I begin to ask myself, what is the point? What is really the point? That our men cannot get protection or vengeance. Call it justice. So what's the point? They didn't even fly half-mast for Medugri again. Because if they won't do that one, that flag will never go up again. It will remain on perpetual half-mast. That is the amount of people we are losing. Mr. President, as a military wife, my consolation was that all the times I had to carry my children by myself, take myself for every antenatal, birth my children without my husband, that a time will come, he go do it 35 years and I will have him back. That every birthday he has missed, every anniversary I had to do alone, every night I had to sleep alone, every mother and father work I don't do, is because one day I will get him back. He will pay his dues. That has always been my consolation. So tell me now, why is looking as if the possibility that he might serve the army till forever has killed the reality of my consolation? Because he might miss every birthday for nothing. If he just die like fowl. And yet, a bandit's life is more important than a soldier's life. If soldier discharge one bullet for bush to protect himself, we go charge him. If boys enter bush, you go take revenge, una go charge them. Don't be. This is. A man did not just die. Men are not just dying. Generations are dying. People that depended on this man, a whole family he carried on his back, died with him. We are waiting till they finish all of us before we go say something. Port Harcourt, whenever take half blood like Medugri don't take, they declared state of emergency. The president declared it on the 18th of March this year. So tell me why till now they never declare for Medugri. Why have the military not been given the power to take Medugri take the bull by the horn? Don't be everything we go talk online. We know. People don't know. We they watch news, we they hear things. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that some of the people where they do this shit, they get passports. Some of us no get, so when it's up, they go run leave the country for us. But the God that does not take preference or bribe, it's my new consolence, because every man go pay within his soul.
I'm so sorry. Lady, do you know why I shared that video with you? Because I wanted to, for a moment, for the first time in a long time, watch how the wives of a soldier actually feels in Nigeria today. Those ones who have become widows and what they are passing through, and the ones that currently don't even know what will become the fate of their own husband. And as a soldier, you expected that eventually you may be killed, you may die, because that's what you signed up for. But did any of them sign up for sitting ducks while terrorists hold sway? Did any of them sign up for being set up for ambush, having compromised intels, destroying young men? You have no idea the number of Nigerian soldiers that have been killed. Let them ask the Chief of Defense Staff of Nigeria, Mr. Oluyode. Since this, your supposed war against terror started, can you give us the data of the number of Nigerian soldiers killed? Do you think it did give you the data? You are still going to feel comfortable like this? You feel comfortable that they are negotiating with terrorists? No, you won't. Apart from the fact that, if this happened in any of your communities, you're never going to feel the same way you are feeling. You're not going to talk the way you are talking. But I played that clip because now you can imagine that those soldiers themselves, they also have families. They have dependents. They have those who actually prayed for a day they are going to come back. But now those people are now just living in that state of uncertainty. Maybe they will never come back. Now, a soldier that feels like he's putting his life on the line, defending his country, now watches the politicians roll out the red carpet for the terrorists. They are all watching. Are they not watching? All these soldiers are on social media too. Terrorists are now on social media going live in Nigeria because nobody is looking for them. But they want the rest of the world to believe that they are doing something. Trump is just gaslighting them. And I think these lawmakers believe them.
Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I have no problem sharing that. I am also troubled by the state of religious freedom in Nigeria and around the world. So I want to be clear up front, violence against Christians in Nigeria is a serious issue. Christians are being massacred and communities are living in constant fear. But this suffering is not just confined to one religious group. Masad Boulos, President Trump's own senior advisor for Africa, recently said, quote, "People are suffering from all sorts of backgrounds. This is not specifically targeted at one group or other. Terrorism has no color and no religion and no tribe." President Trump's own senior advisor. Muslims and Christians alike have lived under the constant threat of extremist groups like Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa for far too long. And so the real story here for me is not about Nigeria's intent at the institutional level to persecute people based on faith. Instead, it's really an issue of capacity. The Nigerian government lacks the means to protect communities against groups that kill indiscriminately. To be clear, this does not abdicate the Nigerian government from responsibility. A government's duty is to protect its people. And when there's a failure to do so, whether that's neglect or corruption or governance, leaders must be held accountable. But capacity within Nigerian institutions maintain peace is a real question, and we should be asking what the U.S. is doing to help Nigeria build that capacity. Are we offering real partnerships or just threatening airstrikes and sanctions? Or instead, are we thinking about technical support, training, and investment in the institutions that prevent violence in the first place? So let's work together to fix what is broken. And I appreciate the ranking member for opening up this hearing with additional support options. And I want to thank, again, the chairman for convening this. On the issue of capacity, Ambassador Pratt, you've said that Nigeria needs to do more. If they don't have the capacity to do more, we should help with that. And so I want to know, I guess my question there is, does the State Department assess that the Nigerian government has the capacity to protect Christians and other religious groups from extremist violence?
Nigeria is...
And Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you very much. Ms. Jaipal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank our witnesses for being here this morning. And before we turn to Nigeria, since this is the first time we have you in front of us, in front of the committee, I just want to quickly talk about Sudan, because I do think this is so critical. And the humanitarian situation there, the incredible numbers, I mean, 400,000 killed, over 11 million displaced, 30 million in need of humanitarian aid. This is just a stunning crisis, and I did want to appreciate the administration's recent comments on this, particularly Secretary Rubio, when he called for action to cut off the supply of weapons to the Rapid Support Forces. And as the Secretary had previously acknowledged, it has been widely documented that the UAE has been one of the primary drivers in fueling those weapons to the RSF. So I hope that I want to urge the administration to use every piece of leverage that we have to halt that support. And I hope, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your leadership and for the ranking member's leadership on this issue. I hope that we can take up the bill from Representative Meeks and Representative Jacobs. I know it was on our agenda, but I think it's important for us to take up that bill at the earliest opportunity, because this is a moment for us, I think, to all focus on the horrific crisis there. So just want to urge you to do everything you can, and we are spending a lot of time on this issue. I have a lot of constituents who are directly impacted by this in the Sudanese diaspora. So thank you for that. The devastating levels of violence in Nigeria are clear, but I appreciate that people have also recognized it isn't just the persecution of Christians. This is persecution of multiple groups, and I think we have to be careful not to portray it just as persecution of Christians. That feels to me simplistic, and it doesn't account for the intersectional diversity of Nigeria. Certainly religion is a contributing factor to the violence, but a review by the Search for Common Ground found that in Nigeria's Middle Belt region, religion was not a primary driver of conflict. Instead, violence has been directed against both Christians and Muslims, regardless of religion, at the hands of armed terror groups like Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa, or fueled by differences in lifestyle between farmer and herder groups compounded by climate change and governance issues. And so I want to start by saying I'm very concerned that a day after President Trump saw a clip on Fox News about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria, he threatened to go, quote, guns a-blazing in Nigeria and revoke all assistance. That would include all global health funding, despite Nigeria accounting for over a quarter of annual malaria deaths a year, and being home to the world's third largest population living with HIV. These are all issues I worked on in Africa long before coming to Congress. In response, the Nigerian government criticized any action that would violate Nigeria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. I know, Ambassador Pratt, that you've spoken about some agreements, some conversations and a task force with the Nigerian government, but can you tell me under what authority would the U.S. military strike inside of Nigeria?
Well, the Secretary of State, and thank you for the question, Congresswoman. The Secretary of State has directed us to put together a comprehensive plan that uses all tools at our disposal, including security and Department of War. And this would be primarily focused on the security that we are providing to the government of Nigeria and how they are deploying their assets We can also share information and intelligence. We can talk about counterterrorism. And so those are the tools that we are primarily looking at in our strategy.
Don't you think it would have been appropriate to have the task force discussion and the alternatives presented prior to the president going on Truth Social and saying we're going to go guns a-blazing into Nigeria?
We've been working on these problem sets in Nigeria for a long time. We have a lot of programs of assistance in the country. They did undergo a foreign assistance review, but many of them continue, and we want to make sure that we're using them strategically to get the best outcomes.
Very diplomatically said, Ambassador. I just wish we would actually stick to that playbook rather than a bully and threaten of a country that is extremely important to us and to the region. I don't think that's the right way to go, to just go on Truth Social and threaten guns a-blazing. I think what you've described is much more appropriate, and I look forward to seeing what comes out of that. You know, we had Ambassador Kelly Curry here before a different subcommittee of this committee, former Trump appointee, and she said in front of the committee in a hearing yesterday, I think it's a very relevant quote, "You cannot solve problems created by men with guns by turning to men with guns for this solution." And I just would urge us to think about that. This is coming from a former Trump appointee. I think if we were to do this, it would just serve to further radicalize communities and risk turning the aggression of actors like Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa directly to the United States. I just have 50...
Nuisance lele. Nuisance lele.
Yeah, the talking point of Democrat politicians. Oh, it is climate change. That is why the Fulanis are moving down with their cows to the south, because it's climate change. And it is farmers' others clashes. So that is why the farmers are now clashing with the farmers, because they are destroying their farms. Have you seen Lake Chad? Have you seen Lake Chad? Baba, it'd be like ocean. So these guys could have all directed themselves to the Lake Chad and irrigate the place using the water from Lake Chad, irrigate the entire land, the desert, and they will have water. They will also have green area. But that's their selling point. When Donald Trump designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, Joe Biden came, removed Nigeria, just like what Obama did in 2015. It was around the time that Goodluck Egberejo, though late, it was late, but it was around the time that Jonathan, Goodluck Egberejo hired this mercenary, and he was actually crushing this Boko Haram terrorist. Enough that, and it was the time that Barack Obama came and placed an embargo on Nigeria. Yeah. And that gave this, then Boko Haram came in. He gave this Boko Haram the opportunity to regroup. The rest is history today, because they also introduced the Fulani terrorists. So Donald Trump came and said they needed to put pressure on Boko Haram's government, just like what they are trying to do now. Then Joe Biden came after him, removed Nigeria from that, and that gave room for Boko Haram and the APC, Kebbi, and all these Fulani jihadists, all these terrorists all over the place. It gave them the opportunity not just to regroup, in fact, to advance further. While they are telling Nigerians, they are hosting programs all over the place, telling Nigerians that it is climate change. It is climate change. Now we don't even see cows anymore. We are now seeing them on bikes with guns, weapons that's like weapons of mass destruction. They are taking lives left, right, and center every day. Do you know that the people they took from Eruku 3 days ago now, right? Do you know what they are demanding? The terrorists are now demanding 100 million naira per victim. Yeah. And from what we have found out, they took 38 people. That live video you saw that day, CAC Church, Eruku in Kwara State. I heard that the state government has shut down schools and all that in about 5 local government areas because of these terrorists right now. Yeah. But yet, when it is time to actually really crush them, go after them, there are those who believe that that's not the way out. Give them money, talk to them like Gumi is doing. Unfortunately, there is more. So let's take a moment, by the way, since you are here this long, let's take a moment and for those of you watching on YouTube, especially, take a moment and like the broadcast, okay? So we have quite a number of us here tonight than the number of likes on the broadcast. So you can take it to 1,000 if you can before we wrap it up later. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. I like that. You need to do it just once, okay? Once you like the broadcast once, don't worry again. Just keep engaging. So from still that chamber, right, the Congress, another Congress woman feels like Donald Trump's way of going it is like that of a bully, like the other person. Now with some extra.
I appreciate the chairman's passion on this and his long work on Nigeria. I think it's a distortion to say that what we're trying to say is that there's nothing to see here. In fact, there is something to see here. There is very real conflict and violence that we need to address. I've been working on addressing conflict in Nigeria since 2013, 2014, when I was part of the counter Boko Haram strategy at the State Department. The violence impacting both Christian and Muslim communities is real, and the Nigerian government can and should do more to address it. I was horrified to learn of the killing of 2 people and the kidnapping of the pastor and a worshiper at a church in Kwara State. And this came only a few days after, as the chairman mentioned, criminal bandits kidnapped 25 girls in Kebbi State. But it is counterproductive to adopt oversimplistic narratives about the multiple complex overlapping security challenges and violence across the country. The victims in the Kebbi State kidnapping were all Muslim girls. So violence affects everyone, and false narratives perpetuate harmful stereotypes and motivate tensions and violence based on religious identity. Distorting what's happening into a solely religious narrative erases the real drivers of violence and makes it harder to implement effective solutions. And it can fuel violence against the very groups the Trump administration claims it wants to protect. That's why I'm alarmed by President Trump's rhetoric about this violence and threats to go into Nigeria, guns a-blazing, and to wipe out terrorists. We are already receiving reports of increased tensions between Christian and Muslim populations following this rhetoric. President Trump's threat is reckless, and any unilateral military action in Nigeria would be illegal. Congress has not authorized force in Nigeria to protect Christians, and any action without Nigeria's consent violates international law. We also know that a military-first response won't actually address the violence and will do very little to protect Christian communities.
So that's their own argument. Similar talking points. Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about Christians. He's just coming to take your resources. You know what I mean? By the time they come in now, it's not just going to be the northern Nigeria. They could even go as far as blowing Dangote refinery. Oh, do you know that with what Trump just did, the Christians and Muslims, there is tension among them right now because of Trump. These are kind of like, I don't know, they are like Democrat politicians a talking point to me. You know what I mean? Like that fear-mongering, that kind of, you know, I don't know, maybe just do that with Trump only, by the way. Nigerians are in the hands of their killers. Their government is in bed with the terrorists. Every intel shown that the government will rather placate the terrorists than go after them. It's not because Nigeria is not capable of going after these terrorists. They are capable. But soldiers are being told what to do. And among all the things they are telling them to do is just to sit duck. Just sit down there. They are waiting for order. Terrorists will be migrating like this. Nigerian soldiers will have a base here. And the next thing is they will be shooting in the air. to tell the terrorists that they are here, they shouldn't come here. And then the soldiers will be hearing the attacks on the neighboring communities, but they won't move. How can you normalize that? And then limited that to, it's a sub. And I'll tell you something. Nigeria's case will become a likely booby trap for Trump. Remember, they impeached him twice the last time. So right now, if they do their midterm election, and if the Republican loses the leader of the House, I think, or they lose both, Donald Trump will be impeached again by saying he has committed an international crime because of Nigeria. So it's a booby trap, somehow. However, it is Trump who will likely still do what he has to do, right? So Riley, the guy that Ribadu and others traveled all the way from Nigeria to go and meet and beg, explaining themselves to him, to beg Trump to hold on. Riley categorically told the same hearing that Nigerians don't trust their government. That's another thing.
A case that just happened recently in the Plateau State. We had a pastor there who had warned the Nigerian government and said, we are under imminent threat. We are going to face an attack if you all don't send some forces here in the next 24 hours. We need help. Please come here and help us. The Nigerian government not only ignored it, they literally put out a press release about it, calling it fake news and hyperbole and being overblown. Well, 13 people lost their lives the next day. 13 people murdered. Christians murdered. I don't know how much an early warning system is going to work if people aren't listening to warnings that are literally over the phone. I'm not sure. So I'd say to the Nigerian government, you're going to have to, and we keep using the term, prioritize this because it's certainly a priority for President Trump. And I think many of us on this panel here today on this dais. But I just wanted to highlight that because that is the type of behavior that has to change, because, and to your point of people not trusting the government, how can you trust a government that doesn't even show up when you ask them to? How are you supposed to trust your life with something like that? You can't. Obviously, you can't. And I think that's why it's incumbent upon the Nigerian government to work with us in coordination and cooperation to address these issues. Obviously, there's going to be some type of bifurcated approach to this. The Fulani Islamic militant issue in the middle belt of the country is distinctly different from what you face with Boko Haram and ISIS in the northeast of the country, and that's probably more of a question of kinetic military options rather than some of the other things that maybe State Department could do more in the middle belt, backed up by some of those same type of at least military deterrence options in that part of the country. But I think it does need to be a kind of whole of government approach to this, but we have to have the Nigerian government as a willing partner in all of this, because the president is, as Chairman Smith just said, extremely serious about this. I'm extremely serious about this. I stay up at night. It's hard to sleep sometimes thinking about this, and I pray all of this, because the president is, as Chairman Smith just said, extremely.
So he categorically said that he finds it difficult to sleep at night, especially when he's thinking about this. And that's one thing about all this whole story. Okay? Sometimes when you read them in the news, you see all those gory pictures and all of them. They don't really do justice to the story. Okay? When you are opened to the evidence, the killings, the brutality, then you begin to realize that, but this whole thing, it seems preventable. All it's going to take was that, when these armed terrorists are around, you need a superior firepower. The only people who have that capacity legally in Nigeria to have superior firepower than the military, than these terrorists, is your military. Ordinarily, your police should be able to handle these guys. Here, Nigeria police. Like internal security, they feel me. Internal security, there should be this special police force. They can give them any name, SWAT or anything. Special police force that can undo things like this. You will barely see the military on the streets here in the UK. I have seen scary looking police officers, armed police officers, come around my area. I have watched them on TV, responded to terrorist attack in London. These were policemen, they were not military, trained. Nigeria is a country of over 200 million people. According to them, do you really think a police force that brags of having over 200,000 personnel, right, couldn't really train a special police force of 10,000 whose job is to respond to any internal security threat, especially the one that borders on terrorism inside Nigeria? You don't even have that. Rather, their best trained police officers, well-behaved police officers, they are attached to your VIPs as personal guards, wasting away. So then your military is next to have that superior firepower. So it is not the local vigilantes, it is not the local people that will be able to respond to over 200 guns, 300 guns. Do you understand? It is your military, in this case, that has that superior firepower. But when the people are left vulnerable for hours, that is deliberate. You don't get it. When terrorists comes in and they kill and kill and kill and destroy and burn and all of that, and they lasted for like 4 or 5 hours. No emergency response, no nothing. In most cases, there are military or soldiers next, not far from the area. But because the order from above did not tell them to go after the terrorist, if they fire one gunshot, that soldier will be court-martialed. That's what the woman said, the wife of a soldier. Even if they decide to just go after them without the order, they will court-martial all of them. They will lock them up. That's the situation. So if your president is not aware of that, if the chief of defense staff is not aware of that, then what exactly are they aware of? Like, what exactly are their intels that makes this whole fight more or less like, industrialized, so to say? Here is another one. I told you it's going to be a long night. But the people who feel so concerned about these killings like this are the Americans in this instance. And they want Americans, to get involved. So what should Thiefnubu do? This whole thing shouldn't even make any kind of like a noise. I have said this before, right? I said if I was a Thiefnubu, we all believe that the reason why he can't go after the terrorist was because he already promised Boko Haram and the Boko Haram's backers, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, that he would continue from wherever Boko Haram stopped. Now, Boko Haram is dead. Thiefnubu is keeping that promise by withholding the political will to go after these terrorists. So if I was him, well, since Donald Trump is involved, I would just be like, you know what, call this some of my innermost guys and tell them to go and work with the Americans. We won't want America to come in and bomb anywhere, just like Donald Trump is proposing. But this time around, it's going to be like, right? They are collaborating with the Americans, deploy another means, and go after these terrorists properly. Something that can't be blamed on Thiefnubu. She can say, what do you want me to do? I did my best to protect you, but I can't do anything anymore. So in that regard, this terrorism will at least subsided because Nigeria will be involved. So in that sense, right, once they push these terrorists back, people begin to go back to their own communities from IDP camps, rebuilding their lives. People will see it. The reform that Thiefnubu is trying to force you to accept and all of these other things, maybe they will begin to actually make sense. Do you know the reason why the failure of this CPC, as it keeps growing, their failure is so open, so sane, is because majority of the people who are mostly begging for money today, begging for food today, right? They have ended up being the victims of the already destroyed economic base of Nigeria. People who used to grow their own food, people who used to grow and even sell part of what they grew, right, are now living in IDP camps or dead, right? The farms are becoming shorter and shorter. that people are now mostly like depending on imported food. So the mainstay of Nigeria economy, agriculture, the agricultural sector has been so affected, so depleted that Nigeria economy that crashed, the one they are now sort of like managing on loans, borrowings and all of that, right? The wreck that this terrorism has caused Nigeria is actually so grounded that if Thiefnubu himself cares about the country or cares about you, the right thing to do is to even roll out the red carpet for them and say, listen, let's work together. Let me get rid of these people. Is that too much to ask for? I don't think so, if you are not complicit. Watch this.
I'll start over. Chairman Smith, Ranking Member Jacobs, distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to join my colleague, Senior Bureau Official Pratt, to discuss the Trump administration's decision to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern in accordance with the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998. President Trump's decisive action to designate Nigeria as a CPC made clear that the United States stands ready to champion the rights of Christians and protect them from religious persecution. The religious freedom situation in Nigeria is well documented in the annual IRF reports. The IRF Act, designed by Congress nearly 3 decades ago, establishes religious freedom as a U.S. foreign policy priority and mandates that the president call out religious freedom violators as a reflection of the importance our nation places on America's first freedom. As my colleague stated, the levels of violence and atrocities committed against Christians in Nigeria are appalling. Particularly in the Middle Belt, these attacks directly target Christian populations. Ample witness testimonies have confirmed attackers used religious language during their attacks and specifically targeted Christians for killing, abduction, and rape. It is clear Nigerians are being attacked and killed because of their faith, and the Nigerian government must uphold its duty to protect them. The United States stands with civil society and religious actors brave enough to speak about the tragic violence and discrimination they face in Nigeria. When Bishop Wilfred Anagbe and Father Remigius Eyula testified before Chairman Smith's hearing last March about religious freedom, these two courageous religious leaders reported they received threats rather than protection from the Nigerian government. But the United States listened, and we will continue to listen and act until the Nigerian government protects religious freedom, strengthens its protections for vulnerable Christians, and holds perpetrators accountable. In addition to these failures, Nigerian officials also continue to prosecute individuals for alleged blasphemy, which stands in clear violation of Nigeria's obligation to safeguard free speech. Under the Sharia penal codes enforced in 12 of its states, Nigeria is one of only 8 countries in the world that allows for penalties up to execution for blasphemy, along with Iran and Pakistan, which have long been designated CPCs. When authorities detain individuals accused of blasphemy, the judicial process often takes years while they remain in prison, sometimes on death row. Mobs often take the law into their own hands with impunity. For example, in 2022, a mob killed Deborah Samuel Yakubu, a student of Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto, in a heinous attack after she was accused of blasphemy. This young Christian woman's life was taken too soon, yet her murderers remain free. With horrifying reports of discrimination, abuse, torture, disappearance, and even the murder of individuals simply trying to practice their faith freely and safely, religious freedom is not an abstraction, but an obligation Nigeria must uphold. This administration has heard the steady, clarion call from civil society and religious actors about the pernicious impact of the violence on religious communities. The Nigerian government must protect religious freedom, strengthen protections of vulnerable Christians, hold perpetrators accountable, and make measurable progress toward ending this violence against Christians as well as any Nigerians persecuted for their faith. We greatly appreciate the committee's dedication to shedding light on the situation in Nigeria and support in advancing freedom, religious freedom, not just in Nigeria, but around the world. And I want to personally thank you, Chairman Smith, for your tireless efforts over the decades about religious freedom and, of course, other human rights abuses, including combating human trafficking. So thank you, Chairman Smith. I welcome your questions.
Thank you so very much.
Brilliant, isn't it? So, to point few things out, in Nigeria, you will never see the Attorney General of Nigeria rise up whenever these Sharia lunatics begin to act this funny. He won't say anything. He will just keep quiet. Because they are allowed to do that. Sentence somebody to death. Stay in prison for as many years as possible because of some bedsheets, some lunatics with a whole bedsheet rolled over their heads. In a country that was supposed to be a secular country, where whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, you should be able to live anywhere, everywhere, and practice whatever you want anywhere. But you know that's not true. When Deborah Samuel Yakubu was killed, the Nigerian government did not do him. The Attorney General of Nigeria did not get involved when all this madness was going on. To actually set an example, there are actually two men currently on one is standing trial for defending himself, Jackson. The other one is standing trial for blasphemy, both on death sentence or death row, courtesy of this Islamic extremists practicing their blaspheming in that contraption, like you are in Iran or Pakistan. You get? Do you even know that if you are a Muslim in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria rather, and you convert to Christianity, you will be killed if you stay in that area? Do you even know that, if you are from the southern part of Nigeria, you are in a country that you don't even have a clue about a lot of things. Inside Nigeria, you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, converted to Islam, and the mob will see you. That's blasphemy. Oh no, apostasy, what do they call that one? Inside Nigeria, people will have to relocate and run away from their community. All of these Nigerian governments, successive governments, they are aware of them. And rather than for them to cover this madness, they continue to fuel it, fund it. That's why you have somebody like a Gumi still walking about today and still having platform. He's still being platformed to address the people on behalf of the terrorists. It was in Ibadan yesterday, in the midst of the supposed Yoruba extremists, the Yoruba Islamic jihadists, the wannabe terrorists. I'll show you one soon. It's quite actually really crazy, by the way, right? But here was Gumi yesterday.
Because I can say now in Nigeria, if you are a fan of the social media, whenever you hear Gumi, then I have a barrage of missiles coming at me. All because of mispresentation. And we found ourselves in an eye of the storm of insecurity which we are discussing, and we found the reason. The basic reason is what all these erudite professors have been saying. Lack of education, unemployment. These are the two evils. So when I understand that our herdsmen are suffering from this too, you can imagine now, if we select maybe 10 people here, keep them with the cows alone, there's no communication with the outside world of the civilization. Come back in 1 year and see how these 10 representatives will be. they'll be roaring like a cow. If you don't give man education, he'll be an animal. So I said, the best way to curb insecurity is to go and see the source of the insecurity. In trying to go there and establish contact with them, of channels for them to get educated, and it became a problem. Rise, Dr. Gumi, he knows where they are. When I go with the police. I don't believe you. I go with the police. It's not a one-man's mission. I carry everybody along, invited by state governors. Please come and speak to these people. And this is what we have been doing. So, to give an example, myself, in a very notorious area that is between Abuja and Kaduna, because that is where they kidnap the rich people. And I promise them one thing. I will build a school for you. And you will be the one that will build the school.
Sorry, I'll save you the agony. So he was right there telling us that people misunderstood him. And on social media, they are barraging him with insult, abuse, and attacks and all of that. But what he is simply just telling every one of you was that, listen, these people are doing what they are doing because they are not educated. So the government should invest in them, give them education, and then they will begin to behave normally like everyone else. What an unfortunate man. These terrorists don't need any education. They are radicalized, armed, drugged. The only message, the only probably help that they can be given, right, or give to them, is to send them to their creator so that they can probably go solve whatever it is that they needed to probably solve. Give them education. But you have been pardoning terrorists for 10 years now. How come that did not even reflect? Over 10 years, they have been pardoning terrorists. Is Gumi aware of that? Then why should we be killed? Because a tribe in Nigeria did not get education. Education is free in some places. Everybody could acquire that. Fulanis could go to school if they want, because Fulanis have been going to school in Nigeria. So Gumi is one of those trying to mislead you, okay, by by gaslighting you, telling you that you are just overreacting. Why people are being slaughtered and killed, and including children. But somebody like that is being platformed. He's still addressing people. He's still being invited to here and there to come and give opinion. Just like Thiefnubu won't declare a state of emergency in Borno State, where a brigadier general was kidnapped and killed, and several other soldiers too were ambushed and slaughtered on camera. There's no state of emergency there. But the madman declared a state of emergency because his political protege or his political associate, Eruku, was about to lose the control of the supposed oil-rich state in the Niger Delta, River State. He declared a state of emergency there. Educated illiterates actually defended that. Lawyers defended it. And there's no way in your own constitution where a state of emergency in that sense was his prerogative. No. But he did it anyway. And he did so before he even informed the National Assembly. Remember? So illegal man, illegal regime, everything illegality, So Gumi is enjoying that freedom. The one they denied Nnamdi Kanu, the whistleblower. The person that blew the whistle on this murderous terrorist and the entire state structure of Nigeria, security apparatus, was unleashed on him. The entire system was unleashed on him. And the judge that delivered the his own, useless judgment today, or Motosho, you could tell at a point he was like so angry, and we were like, why is he so angry? At his time, he actually scoffed when Nnamdi Kanu said, I will lead from the front. When he was quoting Nnamdi Kanu that, I will lead the war from the front, he scoffed. It was like, that's the judge. Same as the supposed prosecution council. Justice murdered. And you are seeing all of that. I say, why did they go out that way? They say, it's because it's Nnamdi Kanu, or he's an Igbo man. It's got to be an extra. Say there's one Nigeria. There's no one Nigeria. What you've got is many Nigerias. There are those who are trying to pamper us to sleep, while the slaughterers, the murderers will come at night and kill us, and yet we are still going to be blamed. That we are just being Islamophobic, we are being Fulani-phobic, we are overreacting. And the criminal government will also do their best to continue to defend them, while they target everybody that decided to not keep short. Say, keep your mouth shut. If you fail to, then they'll give you Nnamdi Kanu's treatment. It's as simple as that. While the terrorists that are posting with AK-47 and all those weapons, these murderous, bloodshot criminals, right? They are there enjoying the same red carpet. APC, Egbetokun. So yeah, I support these guys. Trump should come.
Trump must come in Nigeria. He must come. We support the coming of American soldiers in Nigeria. And President Trump must come in Nigeria. Yes, as you can see, we are progressing peaceful protests. We support the coming of President Trump in Nigeria. This killing of Christians is too much in Nigeria. We need Trump to come in Nigeria to fight against these terrorists. We need Trump. We are in support of President Trump. Look at it. Thousands of Christians have been killed in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians have been slaughtered in Nigeria. And the world is keeping silent. Thousands of Christians have been slaughtered in Nigeria. Thousands. So we support President Trump. But we are begging President Trump. President Trump, please don't disappoint us. We Nigerian Christians are still waiting for you. The killing is still going on. We are begging President Trump to fulfill his promise. The killing is still going on. Do you support President Trump? We need Trump. We need Trump. Trump must come to Nigeria to fight against these terrorists.
And you may look at them like unserious people. Well, that is what everybody is doing, adding their own voice, crying out for help. They've seen through their own government's collusion. This is not even like a beating, like the killings continues, the kidnapping continues. A man who went for his own daughter's convocation, all right, on his way back, they kidnapped him. So now I think they are asking for 20 million naira. The young lady that just gained admission, and you know what it is like when you have to, like, as a parent, sending your child to school the first time in the higher institution, you know what that takes in the Nigeria of today. Anyway, the guy was coming back and they grabbed him. Then they used his phone to call his family, to speak to them to bring money, or he will be killed. Now, this is a Yoruba man in Yoruba land. And I, as a Yoruba man, I am actually enraged. I've seen many. To the point that if I have to ask for help, where do you think I should turn to in a situation like this?
Hello?
Yeah, mo gbọ́ yín má sọ̀rọ̀.
Máa gbọ́. Lọ mú ìfikẹ́lì.
Má sọ̀rọ̀.
Tọ́ba ti mú Hello. Ọba ti dọ̀dọ̀ Israeli.
Àjọ wà ní.
Ẹjọ́ lọ sọ́dọ̀ Ahmed kaba tẹ emergency. Àjẹ́ wọlé dáadáa bá mi explain fún.
Kálá Ahmed wo ni?
Mo dárúkọ rẹ̀ complete ní òjòbó tí mo kátà ń sọ.
Ok.
Kaba ti lọ sọ́fíìsì kaba tẹ emergency lẹ wá. Ní complain.
A ti lé wọ́n ti fún wa ní kí n tó máa fi wá ibẹ̀.
Sọ pé emergency ni ẹ padà lọ ni. Emergency ló máa ń dáhùn kíákíá ẹ padà lọ. Ẹni emergency ni.
Ìbólẹ̀ wà báyìí ṣọ́ sọ yín ni. Ṣọ́ sọ yín mọ́lẹ̀ ni. Wọ́n sọ yín ni.
Látàárọ̀. Ojú àmì ti wú ìsè.
Mo dáràn. Mo dáràn.
Ẹ tètè yára lọ.
Àdúgbò wo lẹwà gan-an? Àdúgbò wo lẹwà? Wọ́n ní bẹ́ẹ̀ àdúgbò lẹwà. Àdúgbò wo lẹwà báyìí?
Ìmúnugbó la wà.
Ibi lọ sí gbé yín gan-an. Ibi lẹ́jẹ́ tó fi gbé yín.
Látà Kàbà. Mọ́tò wa náà ọlọ́.
Mọ́pọ̀ ṣé wọ́n mú dẹ́rẹ́bà náà mọ́? Ṣé wọ́n mú dẹ́rẹ́bà mọ́?
Àwọn ẹ̀yà gbogbo wa ní wọ́n ṣùtì mọ́tò.
Ṣé wọ́n so yín mọ́lẹ̀ báyìí? Wọ́n so yín?
Látàárọ̀. Lílù náà lù wọ́n.
Mo dáràn. Wọn ò jẹ́ kí n bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ kí n bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ ní. Àbúrò yín náà fẹ́ bàbá àwọn lè fi ẹgbẹ̀rún kíní kan kalẹ̀.
Kẹ́kẹ́sà.
Hello?
Ina jinki.
Salamu alaikum malam.
Alaikum salamu malama.
Ina wuni.
Lafiya lau.
Ina gajiya.
Gajiya fa yana wajen ku fa.
Ina wajen ku baba na ku taimaka ku rufa min asiri baba na. Allah ya maka albarka.
A nawa?
A
nawa za mu rufa maka?
Mun hada 700 ne yanzu. Muna hadawa ne. 700. 700. Mun hada 700 muna neman wasu kuma za su sun ce za su turo mana su. Shi sa muke hadawa dan Allah. Amma mun hada 700.
Nawa kuke so ku ba su? Nawa kuke so ku ba su?
In kan taimaka na mana kamar 800.
Kina ji ba?
Ina jin ka babana. Ina jin ka.
Akan mun tausaya maku, mun duba mun ga halin da wannan yake nan mu tausaya maku a miliyan 5.
Babana ka yi ban da miliyan 5 babana. Ka gani a durkuse nake a wurin. Ina durkuse ne. Ka gani a durkuse ne mutunci da muke magana tare da kai. Mutunci da muke magana na ga kai kana da mutunci. Na gan wallahi kana da mutunci. Allah. Mun ba wai halin yadda ka san mu yake ba irin ka kai kana da mutunci Allah. Dan Allah ka taimaka mana. Ni da ka gani ni matan shi ne. Ni ma ban da lafiya. Ina ciwon zuciya. Ban da lafiya shi yake karbo mun magani.
Ina ga akwai yaron nashi wanda ya ce ai za su da miliyan 1. Hello?
That's a human being they are negotiating on, not a goat or a cow. It was a whole man who went to Ondo State, Akure, for his own daughter's convocation. We just gained admission. On his way back to Kogi, they kidnapped him, tied him, then used his phone to call his family that they should bring them 20 million naira. So the lady that was speaking also was saying that they've raised almost 1 million naira. I think she said something about 700,000 naira. Are you going to do 700,000? I mean, what's 700,000 naira going to do from 20 million naira? A poor family. There are so many poor families like that who have become these victims. They barely talk about them. Can you understand? Many families have been wrecked. Well-to-do families in northern part of Nigeria, many of them have been wrecked because they have to sell all of their properties, sell everything, go into debt to pay ransom to these terrorists. Just so you know. But waiting, Fulani man, what is a Fulani man? This point. Doing in Kebbi, doing in Kogi. Kogi and Chad, Kogi and Niger, Fulanis are not indigenous to Nigeria. So everywhere you found them today, they conquered the place. You need to understand that. Those who were there before them were killed and chased away. And these places they become theirs. And that's the whole agenda. What would make a Fulani man go to Ondo State to kidnap somebody from Ondo State? He won't share border. They're living together next to each other. No. A Fulani man will have to travel hundreds of kilometers, hundreds of miles rather, from his place, but thousands of miles before he would then get to some of the places where this terrorism are taking place. Think about that. There is a soldier.
Good afternoon, sir. The President of Republic of Nigeria, the Chief of Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Minister of Defense, Honorable Talamis Badaru, sir, the State Minister of Defense, Honorable Bello Muhammad Matole Marado, sir, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Oluyode, sir, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Wahid Shaibu, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm 17NA/764834, Last Corporal Muhammad Malo. I'm soldier serving in Nigerian Army. Sir, my own problem, I'm not here to accuse anyone. I'm not here to condemn anyone. I'm here to table my problem, sir. Sir, I wanted to apply for voluntary discharge. They couldn't allow me to get the papers. Somewhere, if I ask them to apply, they will tell me, say, if I go back to my unit, I'll apply. And which is, sir, from 2017, yet now, I couldn't have any unit from this operation to this operation. My dossier is in my house in Gombe State. To say that, that's to know that I don't have any unit. From 1 Brigade Garrison in Operation Hadinkai, I tried to apply. They couldn't allow me because of the process. You meet this one, meet this one, meet this one. I tried to apply last one in 21 Special Brigade Ammo in Bama here. I first meet the clerk, explain, tell me that the true channel of communication of that, I'll meet my company commander and explain to him, which is I do so. And up to now, they couldn't allow me to get the papers and sign. I'm a soldier. I'm under depression. If I say depression, sir, I mean depression. My mind is not even here, sir. I have problem. I have genuine problem, sir. I'm under serious depression, sir. I'm not saying that the army are treating me bad or not. No, sir. It's on my own family problem, sir. I have family problem, which is I need to write voluntary and go so that I will solve it. I think several times to carry on, that's run away, leave the army. But I don't want to do so because you affect me in my future. That's why I decided to write the voluntary and go, which is I spoken to my mother and she allowed me to write it, sir. Sir, help me.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it. You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it.
You get it? Omolomo. You know that there's something in the military. They call it voluntary withdrawal. Who knows? All these Fulani killings, all these terrorists, and then Nigerian army pardoning them. Alaye said, he has a family. I have a family problem. I can't do my job. So it's like they rejected his reason for want to leave the army. So, but at the same time, they could tell that his mind is probably not in the army, so they didn't let him go. And yet they still didn't assign him to any unit. Here you get. So it is just hanging in the balance. They knew that this one no one do army job again. He no one die. So it's like me going to the army and just maybe, injure myself. And I would just be like, I'm no longer capable of working as a soldier. Here you get. And I will just get honorable discharge and you go away. Do you understand? Then they just hang him in the balance. It didn't work out well. So he's depressed, he's worried, his mind is just not settled, and the rest of that. If now you, in the state of Nigeria of today, let us be honest. Okay, maybe not you. If it's me, I can tell them that I have gone blind. Yeah. Even if doctor checked me and said, well, you can see, we can see that. I know they see anything. I'm blind. I want you to certify me blind. I can't see anything anymore. I'm blind. I don't want to do soldier anymore. If you like, laugh at me. If you like. They killed a brigadier general like that. Do you even understand who is a brigadier general? Do you even know? A brigadier general is somebody who who rose through the ranks of the military. Brigadier general. That when you begin to check it, is a man that is comfortably sitting on over 3,500 men, that if he says, ha, they will rise and say, Shonsa, thousands of men. Boko Haram grabbed him. Now, did you see the way they killed him like just a common rag? So me, I will come, they say to serve Nigeria is not by force. It's to serve Nigeria with all my strength, God forbid. In this situation, if I was a soldier, I would go blind. Yeah, go blind. Put everything inside my eye. Even if you see me, you'll be like, there's no way you can shoot straight. Why should I sacrifice my life? For a country where, number one, that life is almost valueless anyway. Then I'm going to watch these guys roll out red carpet for these murderous killers. Me as a soldier, I'll be reading in this day and time that everybody, ignorance is just by choice. Do you understand? With this day of, information and all that. As a soldier, you know what is going on. You're not stupid. Do you think soldiers are not talking to themselves? You watching me, because I know, what do you call it? You just have no idea where everybody is watching from. I spoke with a Shima yesterday who was calling from a South African prison. So soldiers could be watching this program. Do you think they don't talk to themselves about this whole thing? So me, I can't go there, can't prove say I be which soldier for who? To go and impress who? My wife, I be my mother, or my village people. I go blind and tell them that I'm blind. You need to certify me blind. I can't shoot anymore. And if you don't believe me, give me gun. Give me gun. All right? Yeah, tell me where to shoot. They shoot straight, shoot this fly. But turn the gun on you. Even you as a doctor, you go jump window. You will certify me as a blind man. Here you get. I won't shoot anybody. I'm just saying. So give me a gun, because a soldier needs a gun. So if you give me a gun and I turn them on you, you go jump window. I certify me as a blind man. To hell with the military, to hell with their soldier work. You know what I mean? They are even denying their own soldiers. Can you believe that? Like gone are the days where you die as a soldier, they say you die as a hero. The country will celebrate you. Your community will be proud and all of that stuff. Right now, they are denying them. They are not even telling their family members that some of them are dead. What kind of a country is that? What kind of a country is that? What kind of a government is that? These people have their own families too, And this one is telling us that the insecurity is the problem of the whole world. You just watch the American Congress discuss what is going on in Nigeria passionately, intelligently, and with some fact as well as some fallacies. For your own National Assembly, that I said that was something they should be doing, not America. But here is Ababioli talking about insecurities all over the world. Tell me where they are doing the same thing you are witnessing in Nigeria right now, in another part of the world.
That it's really a matter. I haven't got much details, but I know that this must have been an educational institute that was not limited to one religion. So I'm sure that the place must have been full of both Christians and Muslims. And so, on religious basis, should note that a bullet, whether it is stray or direct, has no religious inclination. So for me, it's important for the nation to be safe, irrespective of your religion. So we should work together, distinguished Senator Tamboa, we should work together to ensure the safety of lives and properties without trying to emphasize on religious connotation. I think that should be the focus of this parliament and the focus of Nigerians. So do not, because not only do we intermarry on a daily basis, we intervisit on a daily basis. So there's no need for you to say, oh, some may decide to target Muslims, some may decide to target Christians, but Nigerians are the ones being targeted. So our job here is to work diversity. And there are atheists who do not believe in any religion. There are all sorts of people. So it's important that we work for the safety of all Nigerians, irrespective of religious bias. It's very, very important. So please, when things like this happen, when any part of the world, if it is possible, we don't want violence in even West Africa, if it is possible. So the entire country, we want the country to be safe for all Nigerians. And that is why they elected us here, to make laws, resolutions, and take steps to ensure that we, in line with our constitutional duties, that lives and properties are safe. And for those who may have that God has made possible to bind all of us together, is that whether you are a Caucasian, whether you are a black, whether you are whatever tribe you belong to, when you cut your skin, what comes out is red blood. The red blood is to signify that we are all from the same parentage, that we are all from the same genealogy, and we are all human beings, and we should protect one another. So it's important that we note that in our daily activities, and then do not bring things out.
Can I read?
Before you read it, allow the leader to extend the time.
Nuisance lele.
Ababiole. Even the way he talks will dampen your spirit and just be like, what the heck? This is the Senate President of Nigeria. Wait till the rest of them also start addressing the chamber. Then you realize that, man, Nigeria only hope. These guys really, really, really need to go. Because, you know something, last month, sometimes around the 24th of October, a video surfaced online of a truck that just brought this massive number of Fulanis to a community, right, in that same Kwara South, right, Lapiaji or Suluka government area. They said they brought them to come and register with the INEC. This was on the 24th. And then, since then, people have been saying they have been seeing movement until the attack that took place in Eruku, the one you watched live the other day. So that video has kind of like been brought back. Like, how do you bring people from certain area and truck to a place that they have no indigenous connection to come and register to vote? Does that even make any sense? So we raised the alarm then. Then Eruku happened. About 2 weeks after. Now here exactly. Hey,
dan nace kawai karɓar shi aikin cin gida yaki ina gudu ka dauke mu da na turan ma ya ni community leader Viva? Hey, haka yayi. Haka yayi.
Like, let's even just say they are Nigerians and they have the right to live anywhere. They have the right to register to vote anywhere where they are living. Abi, like you who live in Lagos, but you are not from Lagos, but here you are a Lagos resident, right? That's where you are working, that's where you live, that's where you register to vote or whatever else you do there, right? So how can you then bring people in trailers if they are already living there? So the point there is that they are not living there. They were not there. And that wasn't Sokoto or Kano. That was a Yoruba community in Kwara. And we have it on a very good authority and evidence that even Dangote truck have been used many times to transport these unknown aliens across the southern part of Nigeria. That wasn't Dangote truck, by the way. But why would you bring a truck? Why would you bring them in trucks? Able-bodied young men and even women to a town to register to vote. Then we have all the wannabe Yoruba Yadisti. We have old ones, we have young ones, and we have this lunatic, God knows from where, in Yoruba land, preaching about a jihad and why, according to their prophets, say anytime they are called for jihad, right, they are expected to respond and start fighting to death in Yoruba land. Jihad. So the question is, if you, an extreme Yoruba Muslim, what do you call it? A Yoruba extremist, a Yoruba jihadist, if you want to start your jihad, who are you going to do the jihad with, by the way? You're going to start killing your neighbors? Listen to this.
Àwọn ẹrú wọn máa wá bẹ díjọ́ gbẹndàlùkìyàmà lónìí a lè má rí ṣùgbọ́n ntí máa mú kẹrù ọbẹ ní jihad ogun Olúwa ní yā ayyuhalladhīna āmanū hal adullukum ʿalā tijāratin tunjīkum min ʿadābin alīm tu'minūna billāhi wa rasūlihi wa tujāhidūna fī sabīlillāhi bi amwālikum wa anfusikum dhālikum khayrun lakum in kuntum ta'lamun. Olúwa ní ẹ jẹ́ kí n tọ́ka sí òwò kan fún yín káràkátà eléyìí tí ó mú yín là nínú ìyà ẹlẹ́tẹ̀ ẹlẹ́rò. Òwò náà ni kẹgbà Allahu gbọ́ àti ìránṣẹ́ rẹ̀ anabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kẹsì máa jagun sójú ọ̀nà Allah pẹ̀lú àwọn dúkìá yín àtẹ̀mí yín eléyìí ló lóore jù fún yín tó bá jẹ́ pé ẹ mà. Jihad ń bẹ díjọ́ gbẹ̀ndàlùkìyàmà kò sí ń tọ́ parẹ́. òfin ṣẹ̀ríà sì sọ fún wa nínú àkídà ìgbàgbọ́ àwọn mùsùlùmí wípé a máa jagun jihad lẹ́yìn gbogbo olórí tó bá pè wá pé ká jáde ká wá jagun tó bá sàtijọ́ lórí fáwọn mùsùlùmí tí ń fi kìtàbù wa sunna tí fi ń ṣèjọba lé wa lórí tó bá ní jihad ya ó yá nánu tó jihad ń bẹ díjọ́ gbẹ̀ndàl kìyàmà kò sí ń tọ́ parẹ́ yàtọ̀ sí àwọn ideology ìdọ̀tí táwọn tẹ̀blígì ń kó ká àtàwọn amadíyà tí èsè mùsùlùmí. àwọn ideology yẹn àtọ̀dọ̀ England ni wọ́n ti gbà á nítorí pé ńgbà tí England táwọn lọ gba India àwọn mùsùlùmí tó wà ń bẹ̀ ta wọ́n láyà púpọ̀ ogun yìí pọ̀ ẹ̀mí tó ṣòfò pọ̀ wọ́n á jẹ́ káwọn England orí wọn kó ní rọrùn tó ẹ sì mà nínú nǹkan tá a mà nínú ètò ilé ayé pé àwọn òyìnbó yẹn gan nínú àwọn tó lété jù ní England wà àwọn wá rò yí pé ọmọ náà làárán síná wọ́n wá lu àwọn kan nínú àwọn mùsùlùmí láti máa lọ́gun pé kò sí jihad mà nǹkan tó kàn ṣẹ́kù ni pé ká máa fẹnu ṣe jihad àmọ́ jihad à ń fi ẹ̀mí ṣe tó lè múni lẹ́mìí lọ wọ́n ní kò sí má báwo lẹ ṣe lè pantolúwa ní bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ̀ tó bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ wá dúró àyà tó wà ní Al-Qur'ani ó lé lọ́gbọ̀n tó ló wà fi ń sọ̀rọ̀ jihad kí ló wá parẹ́ kò sí ń tó parẹ́ irú ń tó mú àṣẹ wá iná ní pàǹkan rẹ Al-Qur'ani má ṣẹ wá sunna má ṣẹ wá Al-Qur'ani ó sọ pé kò sí má sunna ó sọ pé kò sí má ìwọ kan ní kọ̀rọ̀ kan tẹ kóra yín jọ lórí òdo àti nítorí pé ẹ fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ sin àwọn ọ̀gá yín tó fẹ́ fún yín lówó iṣẹ́ ẹ wá sọ pé kò sí jihad má kí ni ò sí má orí bẹ́ẹ̀ náà làwọn wá ń rìn káyé orí bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n máa tìlú kan bọ́ọ̀lù kan wọ́n á gbé báàgì ẹ̀yìn bí àwọn ogun lè ń dé so lábẹ́ òfin ṣẹ̀ríà jihad ń bẹ díjọ́ gbẹ̀ndàlùkìyàmà torí ẹ òfin ṣẹ̀ríà tún sọ fún wa ó lò jagun rí kẹ́lẹ́ máa bó ṣe léwu tó ó jagun rí láti jọ wọn ti bí ọ ó kópa nù jihad rí jihad ò sì wá títí tó fi kú àmọ́ ọ̀bẹ mi rẹ sọ́rí pé ya Rabbi tí jihad bá lọ wá tó bá mi láyé máa kópa ń bẹ̀ wàá kúkú sójú ọ̀nà jahiliya ó léwu ọgbọ́dọ̀ máa kí alhamdulillah láyé tiwa kò kúkú sí jihad kan adúpẹ́ ká máa jẹun ká máa mú mi rárá ọ ò ṣe jihad ọ àmọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ mi rẹ sọ pé àìbá àmọ́ tó bá lọ wá nígbà tí mo wà láyé máa kópa ń bẹ̀ eléyìí ni ó jẹ́ kó bá Allah ní rọrùn pé lóòótọ́ kò wá láyé rẹ̀ àmọ́ ọlẹ́mìí pé tó bá wá ọba kópa ń bẹ̀. tẹ́lẹ̀ ìbá yé wa jihad òní ó jẹ́ ká máwọn èèyàn kan lẹ́rúgun tí jihad bá ti wá wà tí wọ́n máwọn èèyàn kan lẹ́rúgun irú àwọn èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ àwọn náà wà lọ́rọ̀ ta bábà yìí èyí tí bá ń bẹ lákàtà rẹ nínú wa báwo ló ṣe máa bá sọ̀rọ̀ èyí tó bá wà lọ́wọ́ rẹ nínú wa báwo ni ó ṣe máa pè wọ́n náà báwo ni ó ṣe máa pè ọ́ àwọn ẹrú.
ní ẹni òfò ní ẹ ṣòfò láyé ẹ tún ṣe lálìkìyàmà ẹ̀yin rádaràda wọ̀nyí. ní ẹni òfò ní ẹ ṣòfò láyé ẹ tún ṣe lálìkìyàmà ẹ̀yin rádaràda wọ̀nyí.
At least to my fellow Yoruba brethren here, I don't need to interpret anything to you. Even those who are Muslims are already cursing that lunatic. But to those of you who probably don't understand Yoruba, let me just paraphrase all he said. That's a Yoruba man. And according to him, he read some Arabic that, according to him, that was what the Quran told them, an hadith, that jihad is until your death, until the day of judgment, which means when everybody is dead and we are all facing judgment, you will still be fighting jihad. That means you fight jihad until you die. He said the British were the ones who went to India when they colonized India. And then they faced resistance from the Muslims in India. So because of that, England now bribed some Muslims to create a different narrative about Islam. That those people are the ones who now went all over the place to say there is nothing called jihad of killing people anymore. That it is only mouth that people are now using to do jihad. It's no longer physical killing people. That's not true. How can they say something that is written in the Quran, mentioned over 30 times in the Quran? And also, there are so many hadith that backed that Muslims must fight jihad. That you as a Muslim, that you are telling yourself that, I'm grateful to God that there is no jihad during my own time. That you are wrong, you are going to hell. Because it is better for you as a Muslim to hope that jihad happened when you are alive. Or better still, start telling yourself that even though jihad hasn't happened during my time, but if I am still alive and jihad happens, I'm going to participate in it. That you should be saying that, so if you now die and there's no jihad, God will forgive you. So then it went on to say, the jihad, and that is about turning people who are unbelievers to slaves. So when jihad happens, they will capture, they will kill those they will kill. Then those they captured, who are like the infidels, the non-Muslims, they will turn them to slaves. So he wanted to explain to people what they will be doing that time, okay? That every Muslim should be praying that there should be a jihad when he is alive, and he is part of it in Yoruba land. So my question then is this: who are you going to enslave? So you're going to enslave your fellow Yorubas. You know, these guys are so sick. For your information, these sick people, they actually believed that the Muslims in Palestine, Gaza, they are more of their brotherhood, than their own blood brother from the same family who is a non-Muslim. That's how sick they are. They believe that Muslims in Iran, in Pakistan, they are their true brothers than their fellow Nigerians from Enugu or from Bayelsa. Any Nigerian that is killed, a non-Muslim killed in Benue or Plateau State, means nothing to these lunatics. Or if you hear the news that one person got killed in Palestine or killed in Iran, you will see their emotion. You will see, something that will make you be wondering. And the saddest thing, the Fulani murderers, these Fulani terrorists in Nigeria, don't even see the Muslims from southern Nigeria as real Muslims. Yeah, they don't see them as that. So which means when their real jihad comes, those of you who want to do jihad in Yoruba land and turn others to your slaves, all right? When the real slave master comes, if you succeed, when your real slave masters come, who sees you as a black slave, so to say, when they come, they will kill you too and then take the land. Ask the people of Ilori and the history of Ilori. I won't have to say much. So you should continue your jihad fantasy. Continue to romanticize jihad. And those of you who will be foolishly dragged into it or foolishly put into all this madness, right? Just make sure that you have enough thinking cap on. You're going to need it. So it's been a long night. Thank you so much for your time. I wanted to share with us updates more after word of the court judgment tonight, but we've tried. So I'm just going to implore you once again, if you haven't liked the broadcast, please do now. It's really, really wonderful having you around tonight, okay? So I'm going to say good night to every one of you, and I will see you another time. But meanwhile, let's keep reminding them. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a prisoner of conscience. The right thing to do was to release him. The first time that they should have taken an opportunity of letting him go was yesterday. And the best time was today. It's gone. They should use it. Good night.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. làwa mọ̀ làwọn tó jódodo.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Máyégún ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Máyégún já wa sí.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Bó bá ṣe eré àní Máyégún máa wí.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Máyégún dáyàrí pòlítíkò.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Máyégún.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Àní Máyégún làwa mọ̀ tó dódòdó.
Máyégún dáyàrí náírà nọ́mbà wán.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Máyégún ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Lórí Facebook.
Máyégún ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Lórí YouTube.
Máyégún ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Bí pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Bí gómìnà kówó jẹ.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí bá.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Òpùrọ́ olóṣèlú.
Máyégún máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Máyégún ti dé.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o, Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ̀. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀, Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ̀. Oníkan ṣáàtì ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o, ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣà ìtú wọn síta.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
tẹnitẹni ọmọ máyégún ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́hún sọ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sì mọ́ bẹ̀. èèpo ọ̀gọ̀lọ́mọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ó ti jọba lórí abínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ bùyà àìsíwọ́lu ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o ó kó ẹni tó bá dán o àkàbò máyé ń ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lúwẹ̀ túnra kì Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lúwẹ̀ túnra kì o ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lúwẹ̀ túnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lúwẹ̀ túnra kì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.